Let's understand APIs in this video. So we are on the third chapter in deep learning with full stack deployment. The first step is fork this Git repo. So from CTOschool, I will get it on my GitHub account and then download it using git clone. So I went to my internship projects folder, cmd, git clone, paste. All right, and let's open a new VS Code window and open folder. Okay, so we got the files over here, and let's quickly check the readme file. So whatever is the readme.md which is marked down, we get it over here, and here we understand few things. We may have to install the pip requests. We'll ignore this for now. We have 5 parts, and we can test using this sample API endpoints. Now, what is an API? So the long form is application programming interface. It's an interface between two applications. You can think of it as a bridge between front-end and back-end, or an interaction between a different site, let's say Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and your application. So it's an interface between two applications. It could be two separate applications of two different companies, or the same company, but front end and back end are different, like that. All right, so let's take the part 1. Control J to get the terminal window. Okay, so we see we are importing requests over here. You will have to do pip install requests if it is not there on your computer. And then we see an URL over here, and let's quickly check this URL on browser, what it is. So we do see the data, and as we see, it is in dictionary format. It's a JSON, but for Python, it is a dictionary. So what are we doing? We are first using requests. We got this from these requests, and we are getting it. So there are two types of APIs. One is get, and another is post. So we are right now getting the get request, and then we are printing some data. So let's just first check this. So Python part 1 basic requests, and we see the answer over here, basic API request coming from here. Then we are printing URL as it is. We are using f string. So we got the URL here, status code. So the response object, we are getting a status code for that. And then here we are doing response.json, and here we are getting JSON response. Now, what is the data type of this response object? We can print it with print type response, and we can directly try printing response as well. And again run once. So here we see that the response object has data type of class request.models.response. So it is it has a data type of response, which is a custom made class, and the response, actual response object is mentioned like this, and we are getting status code inside it. This is the most important command that will be running, response.json. This gives us data in the JSON format. And then you have to do some exercises here. So for example, what happens if you change the data from 1 to, let's say, 5? You save it and again run it, and you'll see the data. Now we got user ID is 1, ID equal to 5, title is this, and in the browser as well, if I do 5, I will see the same thing. And we can also check it using a command line tool called curl. So if I use this curl command, I'll open a new window, terminal window, and if I do curl and then pass this URL, so we got the data in a proper JSON format. There are multiple ways. There is also a software called Postman, which you can download from here and play around with APIs. So let's check part 2. Part 2 says a few more things. Basically, we are extracting data from here. Data, name, username, email, address, company. And then we are also printing few status codes. So these are the standard API status codes that API providers use. 200 code means its request is successful. If the API request is creating something on server, then 201 is thrown. If it's 400 or 404, it is an error. That means that the resource is not there. It is fairly common error that we see most of the times. Let's run this part 2 status codes, and here if we see parsing JSON and parsing JSON, so we got the data. From data, if we want to extract name, so here it's users. So in the second one, I'll just copy this again in the curl paste, and we can see that inside before company directly we have this name, username, email, and address, and inside address we have city, and city is we are fetching it with this key city. Again, company has a name, so company is a nested dictionary, nested key value pair. So the key company has value, which is another JSON or another dictionary, and inside that we are fetching name. And here we are printing in a for loop the first 3 posts, which we can see over here. So we got the city and company, and then we are fetching first 3, which we are getting over from here. Okay, so then let's go to part 3, which is a bit complex. So here we see that we have this line. Now any Python file, ideally in the production server or in the standard code, you will see this if name equal to main, and that's general way of writing any Python file. So the code comes here at the very first execution, then it goes to main function, and then main function is written over here. And then we have few cases like choice 1 equal to what happens, choice 2 what happens. We are getting the choices from user input choice. So let's print this first. Python part 3 and look up user info. So let's say I'll give 1. It means it will go to this function. Enter a user information lookup. Enter user ID. So let's say user ID 2. And we got some data, user ID 2. So what is happening? Get user info. And inside this we are calling, we have this URL. In this URL we are passing user ID. First it says that user information lookup that we see over here. Then it asks us for the user ID through this input. We said user ID is 2. That user ID is saved in this variable. Then in the URL, this 2 is passed. So technically the URL becomes this /2. So in the curl, let's do curl paste /2. And we see that the username 2 has some data. Arvil Howell, and we get Arvil Howell. We are extracting data from here. Then let's go to choice number 2. Choice number 2 says search posts. Enter user ID to see their posts. So user ID 2, and for user ID 2 we got 10 posts. So let's just check. We get the URL is posts, and we are passing parameters. So instead of doing posts of user 2 or something like that, we are passing parameters. So that's another way to pass some data, and then we are getting response. Now we need to pass the parameter as well. So we are passing, this is this is the parameter, and this is the argument, a parameter and its value. And then we are getting posts in JSON, and we are printing it in a for loop. Then third one is more interesting, API, sorry, we are getting crypto price. So coin ID is BTC or Ethereum. So let's do Ethereum. So if I write something like this, tickers and ETH, so let's say CURL, paste, and then ETH is the Ethereum, let's say BTC. Okay, I think we have to pass it like this. So let's pass it ETH hyphen Ethereum. We get a long JSON, and here we can see that ID and then name and then symbol, rank, total supply, etc. And then we are extracting data from it. So let's say first we extracted quotes. We can find quotes inside that USD and inside that price. So that is the current price of Ethereum, and we can cross check it from the Ethereum price on this website. So let's say I go to this website. So tomorrow, if you want to build applications which are about stock market pricing or cryptocurrency, we can see that Ethereum price is 3181, and let's print it again. And here we are getting 3185. So there is slight delay. They may have some delay, and that's why we are getting a slightly delayed value. Here it might be more recent, more real time. These values change literally in the second, like you saw from 812 it went to 3183. All right, and then we have sanity check, that if the status code is only 200, then only give me data, otherwise just say that coin not found. So that's a good way to write program. Of course, you have to go through each line and understand what is happening. So let's print, let's do enter choice 3, and let's say ETH hyphen Ethereum. So there was spelling mistake, not found. So ETHEREUM. Let's just copy it. Enter choice, check crypto price, and ETH hyphen ETHEREUM. And here we are getting price is 3185, and 24-hour change is this much percentage coming from the API or their backend. All right, and then you have to do exercises as given here. So we have this open meteo weather API, and here we are passing latitude, longitude, and we are trying to get the current weather. Part 4 is error handling. There are multiple error definitions that we can use. So let's say if the server is not responsive, there is a timeout. There is server load, you may have to call timeout, so that it's not the error that it does not exist, but error was caused because of the timeout. Or if there is connection error, it is thrown as there is connection error, like that. And then in the part 5 we go further more in detail. We have defined latitude, longitude city wise, and we are passing it in the API request, and we are getting some request answer. This is fairly complex. Code is easy, it's just that it is longer. And what is the exercise over here is add more cities. So you can find coordinates using latlong.net. You can also use Colab to quickly play around with this data. So let's say if I let's go to Meteo website, which is this openmeteo.com. Okay, and we see their API. If we go to API docs, we get entire API documentation. So let's go to Geocoding, and here we say we can see that if I pass Berlin, then this is the request that gets passed. So let's say Berlin non-commercial, and we get 10 results. And here is the request for Berlin, right? So I'll just copy this, and I want to do quick experimentation. So I can open it Colab, And in Colab, we can do more experimentation. So let's say I'll go to new notebook. Now here requests is already imported in general, so we don't need to install it. So I can directly import requests. Okay, so I will just say import requests, shift enter, and then URL equal to this. And instead of running it, I can see that Berlin is passed over here. So instead of that, what happens if I pass Nashik and run? And then requests.get URL. And let's call it response equal to, and response dot JSON. Okay, so we do see that we get like few results. First is Nashik, second is also Nashik, second is Nashik Kubo, which is in Japan. Then there is Nashik Atha, which is somewhere else. So usually the first one is fairly correct, famous proper name. So we want to get the first result, and we can see that the key is result and the value is a list. In that list, we want to get the first item. So instead of that, we'll get city found equal to response square bracket 0. And if we run this, okay, we have not saved it as a response. So response.json response, we can directly combine it over here like this. And let's just delete this, run this, and then response 0. Let's run response one more time. Let's have print response. Response is fine. Okay, so in the response we have results key. So response, inside response we want to get results, and then in results we want to get the first item. So now run it and print city underscore found, and then inside that we can get latitude and longitude. So I can say lat equal to city underscore found square bracket latitude, and lon equal to city underscore found square bracket longitude, and print lat comma lon. Now we get the entire one. So if you want to play around with APIs, you can do this, and then final code you can do copy paste and do it in VS Code, etc. That's it. We mainly saw get request. Get request is used to get data. Post request is also used for getting and posting data both. It's more complex. It has more elements that you can send. We'll see in the future chapters. And one more thing is in any typical application. So for example, if I go to tools, and if I go to 11 labs and use tool, now most of the times you will see long URLs like this, where there is a question mark and then you something key value, again and then some key and then value, again and. So this is called like query parameters. So at the end of your URL, they are appended, separated by and they are always in the form of key and value. So if I am doing something like this, params, this is nothing but this, and post question mark user ID equal to let's say that user ID, which I'll do hard code, is same. So I copy this. So it's the same. And I think it's case sensitive. So let's say if I do small I, or let's small I. Okay, automatically took the capital I. So small I is this. This one. Okay, so it's not case sensitive as such, but if I do spelling mistake here, it should not give me the answer. Okay, somehow it is. No, it is giving me answers to all, so there is some mistake over here. So it is giving me everything. Okay, so it's not probably the, okay, all right. So I think this site is not parsing it through question mark, and it's not resolving this. That's why we are getting it. But the websites, like in our websites, we do accept it. So for example, if this ID is changed to IDD in our case, we will get that tool not found because IDD does not exist. All right, so that was query parameters, and that's it for the API chapter. You complete the exercises given in part 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then upload to your GitHub after completion. Thank you. Bye.